Good morning, everyone. It is 9 a.m. I'm going to call this meeting of the Codington County Board of Commissioners to order. It is Tuesday, May 17th, 2022. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance, and it is Commissioner Johnson's turn.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. Item number 2, call for public comment. Those will be items that are not on the agenda. We will still allow phone calls for individuals if they'd want to call in. The 2 numbers are 605-882-6248 and 605-882-6297, and we will address those during the open part of the meeting. Item number 3, conflict of interest items. Are there any for fellow commissioners?
No.
All right, item number 4, then action to approve the May 17th
moved.
agenda. Motion by Van Duzen, second by Gable. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, that motion carries. Item number 5, action to approve the May 10th, 2022 minutes of Codington County Board of Commissioners.
So moved.
Motion by Johnson,
Second.
second by Gable. Any additions or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, that motion carries. Monthly reports. We'll start with facilities manager. Good morning, Steve.
Morning, Steve. Well, we'll start out at the ag building. If anybody hasn't been out there, furnaces and ductwork has been installed in the Expo 1 so far. Currently right now waiting for the AC units and electrical to get finished up in there. As far as right now, waiting on a couple items for quotes for 2023 budget on there. Hopefully I can have that all by the end of the week. In the government buildings, also waiting for a few quotes on that also, but also had a little minor problem yesterday with the chiller. We figured that it probably was due to a little bit of the storm system probably that happened last week, Thursday, and caught us a power surge, I guess, in their computer system. Detention center had basically that was also causing an issue of cooling in the detention center also. Otherwise, there's nothing major on that.
Did you get it fixed then?
Yep, got her fixed, got her running. I don't know if it was cooling down finally by the time you left, Cindy, or not. Okay. The park, camping's a little slow. Weather's a little bit kind of prohibited of that. But bookings have been increasing throughout this past week or so due to weather improving and, FreePo forecasting to be a little nicer. Staff has been working hard getting the park ready due to the colder weather for the past month. They've been working a little more now out and about. In the past month, they were cutting a bunch of firewood and splitting it and putting it into bundles and putting it into the storage. Plus, they had a little bit of cleanup. About a dozen trees had went down out it again this last storm. We've been hit pretty hard for the last 3 years, about at least a dozen trees or so.
It's good there's no campers in there.
Yeah. Currently right now, the only damage that was done was one of the electrical poles and so that for the hookups at the campsite. One of them took a brunt hit of that, contacted Inglestead, and sometime they're going to come out and get that fixed.
Sherry contacted you, right, with any damages out there? Keep track of all that?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes, she did. And then as far as right now, currently as of this morning, $45,564.80 so far has been run through the campground system. So this year. And
That's
then,
for the whole season, though.
that's right now, yeah, for the season.
Okay.
That's up to the date right now. Just a note to take, when it comes, we'll be coming up with the Memorial Weekend. And in the past, a lot of people have been able to book just a year out ahead. Right now, we have that in place have to do 8 bookings with a shelter. And it's basically going to be a first come, first served basis. I mean, I realize there's going to be probably some people complain because we have been reserving this for 30 to 40 years, but we had to make it equal opportunity for all people. So, in the weed, equipment is ready to start. Bit cooler weather. We're about probably 10 to 15 days probably of behind normal on our weather pattern. So I anticipate probably to start probably after 1st June if it does pick up warmer. Otherwise, it could be probably one of the latest years to be able to go out and spray this year. I will probably make a side note. What I have noticed though, if landowners have pastures that need to be, sprayed, especially if they have gumweed in it, it's getting close time to spray that. You need to spray the gumweed when it's really, really small. It's not when it's blooming and flowering. Otherwise, it just basically does no good. It's pretty well resistant to any chemical after that point. Also, I will be sending out a travel request here shortly. We have set for a spring weed ID tour for June 9th. This will be in the Leola area. And I will be going out the day before to help set up also and so that for ID and set up and put flags and stuff like that in spots. So when people come the following day. West Nile. Well, I'm anticipating a little increase in the mosquitoes, probably with our conditions. It just depends on how warm it gets and when it does. Hopefully we don't have that problem, but that could be a very good possibility. Also have applied for the West Nile grants. And I did apply for 5,000. We'll wait until the end of June, 1st of July before we'll be notified of what we will be receiving.
The way that the wind is blowing, it'll blow them all away.
Yeah, right. I'll pause a second. Said it's not streaming. Okay. As long as it's taping. And so far right now in the past week or so, some of the department heads have met with a VAST representative and Greg Richter on looking at some avenues for some different phone system. Right now looking at possibly voice over internet protocol, which is called VoIP. There you go. Thank you. It's a new form of communication. Actually, it's probably they've already had it out for almost 14 years already. But this is kind of partially due to the 30-year contract that was with South Dakota Bit. And I will contact them too to find out what we could get for a quote from them also. But I don't know what other departments we have felt on it. I'll probably try to get a department head meeting and get an input of this and so that. So we'll be looking at other avenues. I am meeting with the gentleman tomorrow on another avenue also. So
Steve, I know the city of Watertown has used VoIP for several years now.
Mhm.
Maybe you can contact Mitch or Pete up at IT with the
Okay.
city and ask them what their thoughts are on it.
all right, I can do that.
Just a good contact for you.
All right,
See if
thank
there's
you.
been any problems.
Okay. Hmm.
Let me, not sure what to do, so.
All right.
It's on, it's going out, so I don't know if it could be.
Let me just look.
That's all I have right now. If anybody has any questions.
Did we sustain any other damage from the wind?
As far as it is for county, I don't believe there really was any other damage and stuff like that. I would imagine probably Rick has probably got some trees that probably fell on some right of ways or across some roads, but otherwise that was.
How about signs?
Signs? No, I mean, really, it kind of, for my part area, the only thing was that pedestal that we had to
Mhm.
electrical pedestal, so, and then some trees, otherwise,
I thought somebody said something about the Memorial Park sign. Was
you
that-
know, those guys never said anything, but as far as it was,
That
the
side
only
of the
thing they made
lake,
a comment was the pedestal, so.
we had a
Really?
lot of power lines down and a lot of trees on power lines on that
Right.
side of the lake. That side of the lake really took a pretty good hit.
Yeah, I was
So,
out that following day because I had gotten a picture from the walls and so we had and stuff on some of the damage. And then one of the guys noticed the pedestal and they took a picture and sent it. So I had gone out and I had to make a detour because by Capeska Lodge, there's lines down and so that, and they were repairing them. So, but I will double check with that, Myron.
We spent a lot of time last night at our planning meeting and hashing over all of the billboards, all the signs that are down.
Mhm.
And as far as reconstructing them or replacing them, a lot of them can't be replaced or just because of the DOT.
Okay,
And so just everybody needs to check
Right.
with Luke or the DOT before they think they can just replace a sign because they've toughened up the.
yeah. I have no idea, like those advertisement signs on the interstate,
That's the
they
ones we're
took a
talking
pretty
about.
good,
Yeah.
no, that's where
That's
they're
what-
talking.
Yeah.
That took a pretty good brunt, especially if they were
Yeah.
facing exactly straight east and west, where
Yeah.
there's north wind.
There's
Lot
one
of-
that's an on-premise that will probably be able to go back up, but the other ones,
Okay,
they'll have to work with DOT.
all right. Well,
A lot of
thank
them
you.
are just plain gone.
Yep. All right,
All right. Anyone
you.
have any other questions for Steve?
thanks, Steve.
yep.
Thanks, Steve.
All right, thanks, Steve. All right, we will move on then to Highway Superintendent report. Morning, Rick.
Good morning.
A little shower out there this morning to hold the dust down.
Yeah, thank you. We
But
need no more showers, please.
Yeah, okay.
All right, last Thursday night when the storm came through, we had a couple guys that had to go and put barricades up by Wappa on County Road 9-4. And then I got a call Friday afternoon that we had to take more barricades out there because people were driving around the barricades. When the signs are up, that means stay out of there.
What's the issue we're having out there on that road?
They had lines on the road.
Yeah,
And people, if that was the only way they knew how to get somewhere, or they were out there looking. But I had the sheriff's department call and want more barricades because the people at Wappa were having to deal with people going around the barricades to get there. And if the signs are up, road closed, stay out of there. You have no business being in there.
get a ticket for driving around a barricade.
I think the homeowners were able to just,
Yeah, the
Get in and
homeowners,
out,
it's one thing, but
yeah, just
they can get through,
another-
but it's the looky-loos that
Yeah,
need to mind their own business.
and most of those residents could get in from one way or another, so they
Yeah.
didn't need to go through.
Yep. And we have some trees like Steve mentioned in the right of way that they'll be out picking up today because we're a little wet to do anything, so they'll be out picking that stuff up. Crack sealing still continues. Cracks are still open, so we can keep dealing with that. The guys have got over all the new asphalt that was laid last fall, which is really nice to have that part done. And with all the wind, we're having to install more riprap in certain places. The guys have been working on the gravel roads. We've had frost boils this year again that have showed up and made kind of a mess. It's not as big a problem as it was a couple years ago, but there are some issues on the gravel roads. We still have the load limits on. We'll look at that a little harder next week about maybe getting those off. Some of that has started to heal up, but I'd rather err on the side of not busting up asphalt. It's bad enough the gravel roads are as soft as what they are. We will start chip sealing in June. I'm not exactly sure on the time. It'll depend on the weather. Weather's been a little bit of an issue on some of that stuff. We have roughly 37 miles that we plan on doing. Most of it will be in the southeast corner of the county. Some will be out by the lake and by our shop to cover up those asphalt roads that were paved in the last few years. Want to thank you guys for allowing me to go to the NAES conference. It was a good conference. There was a lot there on, well, it was chip seal, fog seal, stuff like that, pavement maintenance, which was really, really good. I also did make it snow there, so I did not feel away from home, so. Waylon will be coming next week and discuss the money that is left from getting the roads repaired and what Next Era still owes us, and we'll take that out of that account. But also speaking with Cindy, that we'll be in no hurry to send that back until all of our stuff is done, because there's still seeding that needs to be done on that project, because they couldn't get it done last fall because the ground got hard. We still have chip sealing that we're gonna do. And there was something else, but I can't remember right off the top of my head, but there was like 3 things that still haven't been completed. I know there's a couple of spots that Dunnick has to come back and do a little work on the asphalt. There was a couple spots where they had a little issue, but that's not bad for 2 spots out of 85,000 ton of asphalt,
Yeah.
so. Also, Waylon will be, he'll have a notice to bidders for the bus barn road. And over by Tinkertown, and then micro seal on Charlie's Road, and then it'd be 6A going towards Medicine Lake. So he'll bring out all that next week. Also, I'd like your input on the water is still rising out west. And we need to come up with some kind of plan. You know, I'd like to get some quotes from engineering firms to what it would be to have a plan ready. So if it gets to a certain level, we can do it, or do you want to just wait till the road goes underwater? You know,
I think it's smart to be proactive.
You know,
My initial reaction, but we kind of need to understand when you say do something about it, what do you mean? Like,
well,
we're not talking about building.
no, not building anything up, but to have a plan, the plan's ready for the roads to keep people out.
Okay.
The roads that
Figure
there's
out.
nobody living on, if they go underwater, that's something that we'll deal with later. But we have to keep the
Priority,
people-
prioritization.
because there's 3 homes currently and there's gonna be other spots that if the water keeps rising, that we're gonna have an issue on, especially on the west side of the county, that you aren't gonna be able to get there.
We're gonna have to, it's a difficult issue, right? But it's not gonna go away.
No,
And these are people's homes. I mean, we have to deal with this issue. We
Yeah.
have to.
I think we're
And so-
required if it's a residence or a mail route or a,
So,
Whatever.
so what are you asking for? You want to
I'm
get some,
just start talking to the engineering
Mhm.
firms to get a quote from them on what it would be to have a plans to build up the roads or whatever.
Well, it would include like prioritizing which roads are,
Yep.
you know,
Yep.
that need to be.
Because I've got a pretty good idea on which roads we need to prioritize on, but to have a plan ready so it could go to bid to have it built up.
Okay,
because we
spec-
won't
with
be able-
specs and everything. Okay, yeah.
this includes the other property that we were just talking about a few weeks ago, I assume?
No,
no, that'll be
Okay.
probably a private
That's-
thing.
Okay,
that's something different
okay.
because it's not on a county road, so.
I'd say, open up those discussions with those folks and
Okay.
start planning. It's not gonna go away.
Because like I said, the water's already came up. It's not near, the only one that would be suspect to being going underwater would be right in between Stink and Long Lake. And that was one of those that, the only reason we built it up because the water went down. And currently it's only a couple feet out of the water right now. Everything else is roughly 4 feet. So
This wouldn't be part of like any kind of emergency management stuff, would it?
FEMA.
at this point, no. I'll talk to Andrew
Yeah, just kidding.
and Sherry
Yeah.
and visit with them, but at this point, I'm not.
Well, you
certain
gotta
that would
be, either way, we need to be proactive about
The
it.
water in that area just keeps going up and up and up and up, and we don't know where it's coming from.
Well, and all those little bodies of, independent bodies of water are now one big body of water, you know,
Yeah.
so they're all
Might be
starting.
something coming up from down below.
Yeah,
But
Well,
one time we talked about there's a hill in the way,
yep,
putting
and
in a
that,
spillway.
the DENR won't let us do anything with that, so.
That's too practical.
It might be proactive if we, like, right now, we know that there is maybe one, maybe two residents that can't get to their dwellings.
Mhm.
You know, to be able to say, this is how many we have that can't get to their dwellings. Okay, if the weather, if the water comes up this much, what, how many other people will be displaced, you know? So we have an idea, and like, I think Lee said, you know, so we have a pecking list, you know, so we know these, they know there's 3 or 4 residents here that are gonna be, have to be removed from their residence if we don't do something, you know, so we don't, give us an idea.
Mhm.
Now, I don't know, is there any FEMA? Anything we can do with FEMA
And
to help
that's
us
all-
out?
That's what I'll talk to Andrew about, and we'll get that going, but basically, when it's not,
Widespread,
yeah,
yeah.
you know, but
But
it's,
yeah,
it's something we'll talk to him
But when
about,
you have to
so,
remove people from their
yes.
homes, then it gets to be maybe a little bit different deal, but find out from that.
Yeah, because there's 3 currently. One won't have any water issues, it's just getting to and from. You know, because they live on top of a hill
Mhm.
and they're high and dry. It's just, we built the road up several times through there.
Yeah.
And the water's all one level, so it just keeps coming up. So,
well, and I think when FEMA does that, so then if the water goes back down, don't you have to take back out what you did
it
with
depends
FEMA?
on, all that stuff is different at this
Yeah.
time, so, but.
But anyway, yeah, you can't really utilize FEMA unless you have, like it goes
It's a
under.
widespread.
Unless you got a real problem.
Yeah,
Yeah,
They don't come in beforehand, they come in
after the fact.
after the fact that, oh my goodness.
yeah, and like I said, I'll talk to Andrew and Sherry and they can keep that process going too, so.
Yeah, with that, I believe we might be doing a disaster declaration possibly next week because of the widespread damage, and then Hamlin County is in it. So we'll see. Sherry's gonna bring that forward, but there might be something coming on that.
I guess that's all I have right now for my monthly report. If you guys can just keep your rain somewhere else, that would be great.
Yeah,
All right.
Number 7.
Yeah, we'll just move on to number 7 then, action to approve an agreement with the state of South Dakota for the installation of rumble strips.
Okay, there's 3 locations that they plan on putting the rumble strips on the intersection of County Road 6 and 19, the Wabae Road. And then also 23 and 212, right by Tinkertown. And then 9A, which takes you to Castlewood, that comes up to our County Road 20.
How long are these strips gonna be? Are they just a standard
Yeah,
spacing for rumble strips like it's on 6 and 17?
correct. Yep. And it's basically just coming up to a stop sign is what
Yeah.
these rumble strips are. So,
I'll make a motion to approve this agreement.
Second.
All right, motion by Gable, second by Waterman. Any other questions or comments? Any, all in favor, say aye.
I,
Aye,
Opposed, that motion carries.
thank you.
Thanks.
thanks, Rick.
Okay, item number 8, action to approve certificate of appointment for the Housing and Redevelopment Commission. That's in your packet. This is just, we had one individual that her term expired and she's agreed to continue on. We have a few that will be coming up here. Well, it will be the end of the year, but anyway, this is just for Cindy. I guess it's just protocol for to meet some. What do I wanna say? Just, we need to have this in place in case something comes up.
Move to approve, or to approve the list of names that we were presented with.
Motion by Johnson,
I'll say,
second by Gable. Any other comments or questions? Do you want to add anything, Cindy? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, that motion carries. Item number 9, action to approve the malt beverage license application renewals.
We have 3 malt beverage licenses on sale, license holders in Codington County, Codington Casino, South Fork Lounge, and the Rooster Bar. And this is the time of year that those need to be renewed. The cost of the application is $300. 150 of that goes to the state for each, and 150 stays at the county level.
Been
And I
any
did check with the sheriff, he didn't have any issues.
move to approve?
Motion by Van Dusen. I'll second that motion. Any other comments or questions? Not hearing any, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, that motion carries. Item number 10, action to approve lease agreements for welfare office space. Sarah is here.
Thank
Did you
you.
want,
What?
did you want,
No,
okay.
she's just
Just here.
there. She's
Okay.
just support and
all right.
there's questions. Okay. Well, this has kind of been a journey to get here, but then it's also feeling like we're moving kind of quickly. So I want to give a little bit of background on why we're looking at this and then talk a little bit about how we've gotten to this decision of where we're at today. So first, when I started a little over a year and a few months ago, it became apparent really quickly that we didn't have a good confidential space to have conversations with clients. When clients would come in, where we were talking to them was right in our main office area. There is my office, which we can use for private conversations, but then if staff need to have conversations, I get displaced and I can't do the work that I need to do. And so there were some real issues with that. So that was a primary need that I identified, is that need for confidential conversations. Some of the other needs that I identified over the year is that we just have a lot of noise from phone conversations and in-person conversations in our office that make it hard to get work done. We need to be located within the walking distance to the courthouse because we do a lot of work through the courthouse and also through the jail. And then it needs to be easily accessible. Our location right now is very handy. And so that's one of the real benefits of that location. One of the other things I need is a meeting space for small groups. With a lot of the community work that I'm doing, I am always looking for where we can have a meeting, and they're not big, huge community meetings. It's like 5 to 10 people and I don't have a space. So I'm always reaching out to people. Can we meet in your place? Can we meet in your place? I know the chambers are always an option, but I really like to have it around a table meeting where we can have some discussion. And so then the other bonus that I identified here is one of the needs that's being identified through the strategic planning process is a centralized services, bringing social service agencies together. The state offices are all together out in the building by Ramcoda, which is fantastic, but all the rest of our agencies in our community are spread all over. And so there's this wish to bring our agencies together in the community. And so that's some of the conversation. So over the past year, then I had lots of conversations with Steve about what could we do in the space that we were in. I actually budgeted $20,000 in my budget for this year to cover remodeling costs, with the idea that maybe we can revamp our office a little bit, work with the city to adjust the city space, and go from there. We had contractors come in, we got some quotes, and we had conversations with the city, and it just became really apparent that the city auditorium wasn't a space that was going to meet the needs for the county. And I was at the point where I would not recommend that the county invest funds into the city building at this point because of the challenges that we would face with remodeling a building that needed a lot of work. So with that, I very much appreciate Charlie came and had a conversation with me and really suggested that we look at other spaces, which was very much appreciated. And so we started pursuing other spaces and looking at other spaces. With that, we looked at six spaces that we could use, and we have settled on the one that looks like it would best meet our needs is 7 West Kemp, which is a block and a half down. And so some of the benefits of that space is, one, it has individual offices that are ready to go. It's set up. It was, they used to do massages in there. And so they have 3 office spaces set up that ready to go that we can use, along with an entrance space where Carrie can where we can receive clients with that. One of the other huge bonuses, which this is really exciting, and it's the reason Stacy is here, is because this is going to lead to a partnership with Brothers and Sisters Behind Bars. Our space is connected to another space, which was formerly a beauty salon. There's a door that connects them, and that other space that was a salon is what Brothers and Sisters Behind Bars will lease. With that, they will have a meeting space that we would work with them so that we can use that meeting space, but they will also be able to have activities and events. And so it really starts to become that centralized location for social service agencies. It's also it's right across the street from the Housing Authority and just down the street from Access Ministries. And so we start to get some of that centralized location for some of those services with that. It has very good visibility. It's right there on the street. And so people will see us and know where we are. Some of the other properties that we looked at that could have possibly worked weren't quite as visible. And that was something that's important to us with that. And then, so the property is owned by Crestone. One of the things is that they offered us for the first year, they offered a reduced rate with the idea that Crestone and the welfare office would be in this partnership. We would be leasing both spaces. And so they've offered a reduced rate for the first year of the lease terms. And then it's a 3-year lease. Years 2 and 3 would go up to closer to market value rate for that space. So you'll see I have written out typed out for you on that front page where our expenses are. The rent for that property for year 1 is $775 a month. And again, that's just for our side of it. Brothers and Sisters would lease the other side, and we would partner with them so that we can use their space for some meetings and community work and that kind of thing.
So just to
Yes.
interrupt you, so our share of the $1,036 is $775.
Yes,
Okay.
that's
Right.
because the rest of it is their discounted
Right,
rate
right.
for the first year. Yep, yes, correct. The upgrades that we'll need, that will be extra cost. So there's $1,500 for some wiring that we want done. The individual offices don't have light switches, and so that's just an upgrade. It's one switch that controls all of the lights in the building. We would prefer individual office lights, so that's an upgrade. And then Ethernet is the other upgrade. We're waiting for a quote on that. Their electrician is willing to do both of them, but he just hadn't given us the quote for the Ethernet cost. And so you'll see on addendum B, the amount there is highlighted. I want you to see what addendum B is, but I would recommend not signing that at this point because we don't have the full amount of what the cost for the Ethernet install will be on that. So that is an additional cost that we anticipate. And then connecting point, there is a quote in here from Connecting Point of what their anticipated cost is. Right now, they're expecting the additional cost to move our office space there would be $2,275. And the movers, I had contacted some people that do some moving, and they are willing to move our office. And they expected that to be around $600 or $700 for that. The security alarms, we got a verbal quote. I'm still waiting for the written quote, but Steve and I had talked to the person that does the security system. We will not install cameras in this space. We would just have those alarm buttons on our desk spaces. And so that's $25 a month plus the cost of equipment to install. And the equipment specifics, like I said, he gave us a verbal quote and so that's approximately what that cost would be for that equipment.
And that's separate from the vast quote that.
Yeah,
That's separate, okay.
yeah, it is there.
Okay.
That's a different company that would do that.
Right.
Yeah. It would be a different system though, too, than what we have in our office. It won't be one that goes directly to the sheriff's office. It will go to 911 in the police department for that one.
Go to an alarm company who
Yeah.
Then call.
Thank you. You, yeah, I just know it's not what we have now.
Yeah.
You know that much better than I do. Yes. And then signage, that's an approximate, just to get some sign on the door. The insurance, we have been in communication with the SDPAA. And they are, I don't know if is that what they're Stanford, the South Dakota, the
South Dakota
company.
Public Assurance Alliance is our
Thank you.
liability carrier.
Yes, and so we have been in communication with them. One of the holdups was that we need to have a higher amount for fire insurance than what they typically provide. Our insurance says $100,000. Crestone is requiring $1 million policy because of the building that it's in. If there were to be a fire in our space, it would have extensive damage to the building. And so they want us to have a higher insurance policy. They have said that they're going to be able to do it. They just haven't given us a quote on what the increase.
But that's
cost would be.
not even in the contract anymore.
Did they take it out?
Yeah, it's not in here that I can see. Under insurance.
A minimum limit of 1 million per occurrence.
Yeah, it's in here, Cindy.
It is?
Yeah,
Yeah,
on the
on
second
the top of
page.
the,
Landlord shall be responsible for insurance coverage landlord shall be responsible.
oh,
Tenant shall maintain insurance on tenant's own property and liability insurance.
Okay. I'm
Tenant
still
must
not
provide.
seeing it.
Tenant,
right here.
Where it specifies
Tenant.
fire. There's nothing in there that specifies fire.
yeah,
Right.
yeah, it does. Policy must meet the following terms: commercial general liability insurance for limits of 1 million per occurrence and 1 million fire damage, legal liability.
Where are you seeing
Okay, I'm
that?
seeing it on this one here. It's a different, it's,
Here.
You just
Is
handed
that
us
not it?
as a, you're looking at.
Oh,
Is this a different?
yeah, take the one that I just handed you.
Okay, so
Sorry.
this one that we
Yeah,
got in the
that
packet
one
is
in the
not.
packet.
Okay, okay, good.
Yeah, sorry.
yeah,
Okay,
that's
so-
where,
You're right.
Yep.
Okay,
Thank
so
you.
this,
that's the one that was. in
She
the
told me she
packet.
was gonna keep it in. She did
The
keep
one
in the
that
$1
you
million
had, not the
coverage, but
one
not
Right.
fire.
Right,
Yes,
right.
yes.
Okay,
So
so
it's not,
that's-
so I apologize.
okay, that's
So this
okay.
is, yeah, you were looking at the one that was in the packet, not
Yeah.
the Sarah. gave.
Yeah, because that's the issue that we've had is that it's, so it is still $1 million coverage, but you're right, she did take out the fire phrase. So and I have sent this contract to the insurance company. This is the one that they're basing it off of. They're looking at the $1 million coverage still. And that, I guess, I apologize for saying the fire. Initially, it was fire insurance. So, again, they still said this is possible. It's just gonna cost the county a little bit more to have that amount of insurance coverage. And so we'll be getting that cost. There is some room in the budget to cover that though. The other one is just some miscellaneous office supplies. We're gonna need some shelving, that kind of thing. And the desks, which were planned to come into our current space. I listed them here because they're gonna come out of the same fund. And so the $20,000 that I had budgeted for the remodel, right now, $14,582 is what the expense of this total move would be for this fiscal year, plus the insurance and the Ethernet install. Also, to keep in mind that the community health worker grant will cover part of the office costs. And so that would be approximately $1,350 worth of rent would be covered through that grant and the desk cost. And so that would be $3,850 less on the total cost. So we would still have around $10,000 in my budget to cover the insurance and Ethernet expenses. With that.
So the CHW grant covers, just, I guess I'm trying to remember the grant, doesn't just cover the person, it covers
Right.
spaces, stuff as well. Okay.
Right, and they said, so they would cover the portion of employee that she is. So we have 4 employees in the office. So they said we can bill 1/4 of the office expense to that grant, which I didn't initially know. That's one of the things since I've met with them that they've updated with that, which helps us with this.
Is-
What do we pay a month to the city on that building rent, Cindy?
Pardon me?
No, what do
Um,
we pay for rent on that building?
$3,000 a year for the city
2,000
auditorium.
a year
3,000.
for both spots.
Correct.
Okay. So no utilities, is flat 2,000.
3,000.
3,000.
3,000.
Three,
Yeah.
okay,
Three.
so we'd save 1,500 by not doing that. Okay.
well, we're still gonna have to pay something over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Veteran service.
Well-
Yeah, I know, so you say pay half, basically.
But has anybody checked with the city to see what they will lower the rent to?
Surely we have checked with the city.
Yeah.
So if you take that 3,000, split it,
Okay.
1,500
Okay.
per,
Okay. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
per entity, 1,500 per entity over
entity.
there, times
Yeah.
12 is
Oh, touch base with them.
$18,000 a year, roughly.
I doubt if they'll do that.
Yeah.
Maybe it will.
I would think probably.
Well, can we, I mean, this is a good rundown. Can we, if we haven't talked to the city yet, can we, is this something we need to do right today or?
well, so again, I know this is pushing it, but I would really like it to get us in there June 1st if possible. And so if we're going to do that, we do need to, like Crestone needs to get their electrician lined up and they need to get some of those pieces in place. And so it wouldn't, I guess, yeah. I don't know.
So, I mean, yeah, so. Okay. So, we need to understand what the obligations are with the city in.
So the lease, my understanding is that there is actually, like, it's just an agreement right now. The lease hasn't been re-signed. And so we aren't contracted for a lease with the city at this point. I don't know what that means for what they charge for that.
You might need to check on what the, yeah, I mean, I doubt if there's gonna be huge, but there might be something if we, I mean, is there a month, are we on a month-to-month basis? Is that what you're saying now or what?
So I don't know.
No.
Do you know,
it's-
Cindy, on that contract? Do we have a contract with the city?
It's an annual contract. We've paid the full amount, I believe,
For the year.
for the year.
Yes, and there was a clause in there, it was whatever, but then it went on, it would just automatic renewal. Yeah. So,
Okay. To a couple, I'm sure you said the other
Yes.
question. So I would, on the spaces, if we were to say, you didn't have the CHW grant, because we don't know what's going to happen with that in the future. We understand we like to have ICAP and the brothers and sisters behind bars. We like the co-location. And we currently have an intern, right, from.
Yeah.
So if those say that if the intern and the CHW grant weren't there, would you still need the office space? That's the
Yeah.
first question. Okay.
Yeah, we would. Just part of it is when clients come in, they're in that main area. So if we're trying to have a confidential conversation, if not, I mean, I can come back and I can have confidential conversations, but if Carrie's having a conversation and we have somebody that comes in, that person is hearing the conversation that's happening in the office. And so that's part of it. Initially, that was part of what I'd hoped to do with the remodel is kind of create an entryway that's separated from our office discussion. And,
Yeah.
And yeah, so that it's, yeah.
This is just for the east half of the building. This is
Yes.
not including that dividing wall west.
Oh, you mean for the
Where-
new space?
No, on the new space. This is not, this would be just for the section you're gonna be in. This is not for both sections of that building.
Right, right. So there's seven West Camp and 9 West Camp and the welfare office would be in 7 West Camp and brothers and sisters would be in 9. And yeah. So all of these expenses are just for the welfare side.
You can't answer this question, but have you talked to them about what the other half of the rent is gonna be? Is it gonna be a duplicate of this?
So we actually did have that conversation because initially there was some conversation about the welfare office renting both sides so that we would have the conference room side. And then working with an MOU with brothers and sisters. And it was decided across the board that it would be better for brothers and sisters to have their own space. Their rent is going to be, their space is a little bit smaller. And so their base rent, I want to say is 900 and something. It's the combined total is right around 1,500 for both spaces.
and that's for the first year, correct?
For the first year.
And then after that,
Then they go up.
and do we know that amount yet?
Yeah, it's on the first page of the lease. So year 1, our rent,
Oh, gotcha, I see it.
actually, it has to be a little, I apologize.
Yes.
It would be closer to 1,900 for It's right around 1,900, not 1,500, sorry, for both spaces per month.
So is it,
Yeah, sorry.
do they,
What is this, what
go
are these
ahead.
numbers in the contract here?
Okay, so year one, this is the market rate, the 1,036.
Okay,
We're getting the discounted rate because we're leasing both sides. We're coordinating the leasing of both sides. And so market rate for year one is 1,036. Our rent for year one is 775. Starting year two, the rent will go to 1,067 per month.
so where does the 1,900 come in then? I'm confused.
That
on
would be with, if we lease both sides
Both
together.
sides.
Okay,
The side brothers and sisters.
separate lease for the other half.
So,
Yes.
so, and
It's
then
not all one.
for the first year, where is it in writing that we get the deal 775?
It's addendum A.
That's it, okay,
Yeah.
all right, that's,
Yeah.
But it's right under that chart too.
okay, that's what that was.
Mhm.
Okay. I get it. That was the question, it's explained it into me. Can I ask another question? Chair?
Sure.
On addendum B,
Mhm.
I appreciate that you suggested not, if we do approve it today, not approving that part of it yet. Some of the repairs, like having a light switch in a room seems like a landlord thing to me. And then also the wire, if we're gonna, work through chases and stuff and fish wire, I mean, those are improvements that would be good for a future tenant too. So it seems to me that that might be something to talk to the landlord about.
Well, and that's one thing that I did look at, and I'm sure that you did, Troy, too, Troy. They've got a light in one light switch controls all the lights in the building, so they're either all on or they're all off. If you've been over there, did you guys all looked at? I see in
I
the
noticed
one room
this.
where they got a half a panel of light coming in.
Yeah.
Looks like it's kind of jerry rigged.
So that's what this
I'm
addendum,
wondering if $1,500 is gonna, I know they said 1,500 is gonna deal it, but I'm wondering about, it's an old building.
that's what the electrician quoted on. And so that was what their expectation from the electrician, that he would be able to do that. I also had the question of like, aren't these facility upgrades? And their reply was that it's functional how it is now. And truthfully, our office space right now is all on or all off. So it is functional how it is now. It would be nice to have individual office switches.
But that building out what you said, the addition to that electricity, and some of those rooms don't have an outlet in it. Is it all of a beneficial to the landlord?
Yeah, I just wonder. Yeah.
I mean, this is something, if I go into a room, I expect to turn on the light. We're paying for improvements with this to his building. And he's got full 100% of the gain if and when we move out.
Be something, well, we're not approving this, but I think that's something that I agree, that's something that we need to address on this addendum B. So.
Yeah, I think that's valid.
I mean, that's,
So what's your wishes then? We need to probably get some of those.
So addendum B is like just, it's a bonus addendum. It's functional how it is. If we weren't to approve addendum B, we would further the discussion about the improvements.
I realize you're looking for more room real badly, and you want this real badly. But without any changes up there to the building, I wouldn't consider it a functional building. I mean, we got computers and lots of other stuff, and there's more electrical. Even over here, we've got a power outlet with 2 power strips coming off. And one of them blows because it can't take enough electricity. Wait, and then the heat system over there, what kind of heat system is in that building?
In the new space?
No, in the space on Kemp Avenue.
I don't know that. I do
And
know-
where is it controlled at? I mean, is it hot water heat? Is it forced air heat? Is it electric heat? And I know I read it in here in the first, the one that was in the packet, but the utilities part of it.
Well, I
They're
looked
paying
at
for
that,
them.
Utilities are
Is
paid by
that,
them,
is that paid by the,
yeah.
by the landlord.
Paid
by the landlord?
Yes.
I'd say, so my thing is, I feel pretty comfortable with this. It's just there's a couple of these hazy areas like the insurance and the improvements that
Mhm.
it'd be nice to get clarification before we. did the
Sign
whole
it off.
shebang. Yeah. did the
Yeah.
whole sh- That's my view, but
I would,
understand the urgency of that. Is it possible that you could do, continue to coordinate and make,
Yeah,
I don't, I'm gonna say, I personally don't feel comfortable with this. I took a tour of that property, and I think that there's just a lot that needs to be done there. I think we can continue to look and find a space that's going to serve our needs, that's in better shape and better condition and is more appropriate than what that space is. I have reservations. I don't have a good feeling about spending this much money for that space. And I know that it's a partnership and we appreciate that, but I just think that we can maybe find a little better spot that's better suited. Just didn't feel comfortable, Sarah, when I walked through there. And
are there
so-
specific things that you would want me?
Well, there's a lot of work that needs to be done. It's not move-in ready. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that needs to be done. There's wiring that needs to be done, as we've talked about. The location is probably a good location.
Handicap
But
accessible.
it's just, yeah, I mean, there's pros and there's a lot of cons too. I would just encourage you to continue looking.
I personally got a feeling of claustrophobia when I walked in the building and into some of those rooms.
Offices are very, very small.
And I tried to relate that back to the people that you would serve. And there again, I've been doing what I've been doing for a lot of years, and Troy, you've been doing what in your former position, you've dealt with a lot of that, and some of them really do have a case of paranoia. And when you got a room where there's no light, there's just one light, and you close the door, it's almost like going into an interrogation room. There's no way out.
I guess I would kind of in between. So I would trust you if you're happy with the space and think it can be improved adequately. That's one thing. My issue is more just getting these little details ironed out. But so,
Okay.
I think.
And I